Welcome back to yet another to-do app. We'll be coding in HTML, CSS, JavaScript. But this here, the code is in a very different style as compared to my previous project that I did last week. So just watch on until the end to understand the difference. And it's always better to do, like I said earlier, to code in different coding styles in order to practice and practice. Because the code you can do in several different ways, the same app. Yeah, so first we make the H1 element with the title and then write the heading to do app JavaScript. After that, we make a div container with a label. This is how we do for forms, if you remember HTML forms. So you can write the label if you want, otherwise you can just write the input only. But here I'm writing the label for item, and then just write a space for entering a new item. After the label, I write the input. You can just write the input also, as I said. So input type is text, same like before in the previous project. Name is item. Yeah, then you also give it an ID of item so that later the CSS is easier to style it. So that's the reason you're giving the ID. And then you need the button, right? The button elements you need for adding the new item. So I call it the add item. You can call it new or whatever. Then the container is finished. This container is closed. After that, you need the UL open and close tags. Why? For unordered list, right? For writing the items, the item lists rather. Yeah. So now you are unable to add because you've not done the JavaScript yet. So after the HTML, you rush back to CSS to do a bit of styling, very basic styling I have done here. So I want to clear the margin and the padding, so I'm doing this coding margin 0, padding 0, box sizing, border box, as I explained in the previous lesson. This is done so that you can include the width as well in the overall size, and width and the padding also in the overall size. So the list you give a style of margin bottom, little bit of style 7px or 10px, list style type none so that the bullets disappear. Then for the list button also you need a bit of size, give a bit of font size, just given 10, you can even give 7 also. Float right because they are moving from the left to right, so that's why you write float right, you already know that. Okay, then after that, margin left or margin right, whatever you give the styling. Yeah, so this is done. Okay, just given the basic styling, only color. So I'm not going too much detail into the CSS. This is a very simple one. They are the red buttons, so I give it a background of red, padding of 7px. You can do your own styling. Rather, I would ask you and request you to do your own styling so that you get to practice your CSS. So because this project, I take it more as an exercise to do JavaScript rather than the CSS, because CSS, as you see, is more or less the same as in the previous lesson. So I'm not making much of a difference, a bit of a difference only. Yeah, so you don't have to concentrate more on this. You can even use the same CSS like in the previous one, a bit of difference here and there. Just a basic coloring for the button, the size for the button, the background of the button, and a little bit of margins for the left and right bottom, and also the padding. That you do for all the elements. That's it. Okay, so here I'm keeping all the buttons as red. Okay, then a bit of styling for the input field. Input I'm writing focus because like you can see, like when you're entering some items, it will give a bit of the red color. The outline will focus on that item when you're feeding something inside the input. So that's the idea. You will see in action after you do the JavaScript. Okay. So let's get started with the JavaScript. Nothing much here. It's like much simpler than the previous one. Okay. So if you want to share with your friends, do remember to press like and smash the like and the share buttons. And of course the bell icon so that you'll get notified of future lessons. So you have to make this, you have to create this const list. This is a variable list where this is actually your not creating. This is already there. UL is already there. So document.query selector UL. By this you will find the UL which is already there. Yeah. Then input also, it will be document.query selector input. Yeah. And then const button, document.query selector button, because these items are already we've fed inside the HTML, if you remember. So whenever it's already there, then you do .query selector, means find using the class or the ID following elements, UL input button. Okay, now starts adding the event listener. So now that you have the button, how do you make sure that when the user clicks on the button, some action is implemented? So button dot add, because you know that event listener is the action action guy. Yeah. Okay. So button dot add event listener click. So that means the first parameter click. So that means when the user clicks, second parameter is the function. Yeah. This is the arrow function, if you remember. So what happens is, in this what all things happen, const new item. So you make another variable new item, which is, what is a new item? The value of the input. Input dot value means value of the input. Then input dot value empty string. That means you clear out the input field by writing input dot value is empty. Then const list item is document. Now list is not there, if you remember in the HTML. So you have to create that element. So for creating it is document dot create element class of list. Then again list buttons. So the same way you do for everything, you do the create document dot create element button, because for the list buttons is not there, right? So you do that create element thing. Whenever it's there, it's query selector. When it's not there, you use create element. Yeah. Then you need what is the list text actually? That's actually the items that are the list item that is present over there, right? So, and then you also need span, because if you remember why you are creating the element span is, these buttons are happening just beside the item. So you have an item written there, then you have a delete button. You have an item written there, whatever other button. So it's by the side of it. So that's why you need to create the span. Then list item dot append child list text. Append is whenever you are adding something. So with the list item, you have to, what do you need to append? The child of it, that is just under the list is what? The child is the text itself, right? Because whatever text you're feeding is going to be the child of the li. So dot append child list text. Then list item dot append child, you also need to append what other children, they are the children in the tree. So the list button, yeah, because you have like first li, then after that the item in the form of text, then you have the buttons which is there, whatever, the clear button, edit button, whatever. Then you have the text content. Then list text dot the text content is in. So whenever you are adding the new item, what is that? That's the text content of the list text, right? Then the list button dot text content is the delete. So first you have to consider the delete button. So for that, what you write, you have already created the list button. So the text content of that is a delete, then it will show as a delete button. Whatever you write here will show on the name of the button as a name. So list.append child, the list item. Yeah, that one I just repeated, sorry, it's already there upstairs. Okay, then after that, you need to add again action button, which is the add event listener. So to the list button, you add an event listener. What happens is whenever the user clicks as an arrow function, so whenever the user clicks on this list button, which is the delete button, what action you want to do? You want to remove that item, right? Remove or delete. So here we write remove the child. So what is the child? The list item. So when the li, from the li, you remove the list item itself. So that is action that is happening. Then the list button dot text content. So what is the text content of the list button? Yeah. So the list button, okay, then you write for the done, but one is for the delete, one is for the done button. That is like we did last time, the complete button. So again, add the same action thing, list button dot add event listener. So what happens when the user will click here? It will be strike off, right? So that's what you want to show here. So list button dot event listener, when the person clicks, yeah. What is the action taking place when he clicks over here? Yeah. So it will strike through. So it will strike out list.strike the list item's text content. So whatever is the text content of the list item, that will be struck off, dot strike from the list element. So that's the action happening here. Yeah. Okay. Then you also have to add something else. List text dot add event listener. This is for a bit of styling. Yeah, so when clicks, how exactly the striking is going to happen, it will explain over here in this function, the action. Yeah, so the styling, so the list, the style dot text decoration. So what is a text decoration? If you remember, line through. So when you do line through, that is a text decoration property in the CSS. So the line through will come, strike off line through will happen. Then input dot focus. Now this I already explained in the HTML. So just explain that in the JavaScript. Yeah. So that's done. Okay. So let's see what is happening here. We add some item. Okay. Item. Okay. All the items we added, JavaScript, Python, HTML, CSS, whatever we added. Now, so we are able to add the items. Now, bit of a problem here. The done button should have been the remove button, but I showed it as a done button. So when you click on the done button, it's actually being removed. Ideally, it should have been when I click on the delete button, this action should have happened. Yeah, so that means I have to do away with the done button. There is no need for the done button. Just the delete button will do for deleting, for removing the items. So that's the idea. Yeah. Okay. Okay, let's see where we have to remove, which function we have to remove from here. It's a done button. Okay, so let's find out where is the redundant code here or the extra code here and remove that. So this is the part of the debugging. Sorry, I made a mistake here. If you find it a bit too slow, you can increase the speed. If you find it a bit slow, you can really increase the speed and watch the tutorial again. Okay, this is the culprit. The done button we don't need because that's supposed to do the job of delete. We can do away without that. Because a strike through is there, without using the done button, we can do that. And then also there's a mistake here, a typo mistake. So I just corrected that. It's list item that was spelled wrongly. Oh, it's still coming. I haven't removed the done button yet. Because it's not striking off, it's just removing it. So it's a complication here. And now it's striking off. Okay, the striking part is doing well, but it's done is removing. So the only thing is the done word you have to replace. You have to remove that text content done, and then just do away with the delete button. List button dot text content equal to delete. That's it, and the problem will be solved. Oh, I'm so much used to Python. I'm so much used to Python that instead of the slash, double slash, I use the Python hash for making the line invisible, for commenting the line. For commenting in JavaScript, it's a double slash. For commenting, it's a double slash, but I use the Python hash. I'm so sorry about that. Haha. So much used to Python now. Yeah, now the correction is done. You can see the delete button. Yeah, great. So if you press the delete key, it's getting removed. And if you just click on the word, it's getting strike through. So items that are done, just click on the word. The user can click on the word itself, the item itself, it will get strike through. To remove it completely, press the delete button. So your work is done. Wow, congratulations. That was a small mistake, just a redundant bit of code. So you've seen the styling. That was very simple this time. I just did away with one button only for the deleting button only. And for the strike through, I just, like in real life, when you want to strike manually, what you do, you just strike on the item word itself. So I just did that, like that. So one button for removing and the other one no need of button, just did the action function only, the event function, and after that you just click on the item and it will get strike through. Yeah, so that shows that it's a done item. So done item, strike through. For removing it completely, delete button. And for adding a new item, use the add button. So everything is done. Just try to make the button a bit bigger, but it's not working because I'm running out of time. I try to do it very quickly. So what I suggest you guys is, if you want to make some changes in the CSS and beautify it. I know this is a very ugly one in terms of the CSS, because the main idea was not to show the CSS but to show the JavaScript, the simple JavaScript, as compared to my previous project. This one is much simpler, so I wanted to show you another option. So whichever option you feel like for the JavaScript, you can choose, and the CSS is pretty much yours. I know there's a bit of space required after the add, between the add button and the delete button vertically, so I'm not going into that in detail. You can just do that yourself for cleaning up the CSS. And as far as I know, you have understood the JavaScript so pretty well in this, and it's so simple. So don't forget, before going, to smash that subscribe button and the bell button so that you get notified, because I'm going to do lots and lots and lots of JavaScript projects, and also simultaneously lots and lots of Python projects in case you're interested in Python. But JavaScript, I know if you're watching this, you're interested in JavaScript, so I'll be doing this. And also I'll be doing the to-do app, the same project in React for the next time. So keep watching and make some comments below whether you want more such projects in JavaScript or React or Python. What is your preference, so that I will choose the frequency of the projects based on your preference. So do remember to mention there, and do remember to read the community post as well, please. So take care and